Hi, this is Lydia, and we're going to be talking about the two-part brain. This is something really important to understand in changing our brain, and I'll tell you a little bit about how it works. So, a lot of what I'm talking about is coming from an awesome book by Catherine Hansen called Brain Over Binge, which I would highly recommend, and I think that you would really enjoy. But these principles really have transformed and changed my life with my own struggles with, eating and binge eating and those sorts of things. So let's play a game, shall we? Last time you binged or overate or ate out of stress or lack of sleep or whatever it was, if you woke up the next day and said, man, why did I do that? What was the message? What was going through your mind at that time that you were either eating or thinking of eating those things? Can you think of a couple things that are running through your mind? All right, here's some of mine. So my messages are especially flare up when it's like, okay, well, I've got to get things in control. I'm going to start eating a lot healthier tomorrow. So it's the last chance thing, right? Like I've got to have it now. I'm never going to have it again. I'm never going to have ice cream again. So I should definitely eat it now. And just to quiet it, like I am obsessing about food. I'm thinking of what's in the pantry. If I can just eat it, I don't have to be stressed about it anymore. And once it's gone, then it'll be gone. It's just like a relief sort of thing, right? And this sort of like, I'm going to die feeling like I have to do it. Like I feel like I got to do this thing. And then it's so much better than feeling the way that I feel. It's maybe eating right now isn't a great choice or eating that, but you know what? It's better than feeling this sad or this angry or the other end of the spectrum, right? Like I feel so good. It sounds great right now. I should just eat like tons of stuff, just whatever we want, right? It's a special occasion. Um, and then during the eating, right? Whether it's the binging or overeating or whatever it is for you, I used to have these thoughts of like, I'm so crazy because I knew what I wanted, right? Like I knew that I was wanting to be a healthy person, that I had goals that I was working towards. So it's the why am I doing this? Like I am so messed up. I'm sabotaging myself. Like, why can't I figure this out? And then once I actually did it, then I've really got to do something about this, right? Like this has gone way too far. I have got to, starting tomorrow, everything is changing. And since I'm starting tomorrow, I better have this tonight. Do you see the cycle? Any of those things sound familiar with how you felt in the past or what's gone through your mind? And there's something that's an interesting term. Nick Fry, the behavioral psychologist on our team, he told me a term called dirty discomfort, which means that you don't just feel uncomfortable, but you feel uncomfortable about being uncomfortable. Like, I don't just feel bad that I ate that. I feel bad that I feel so bad that I ate that. Do you see the cycle that's happening here? Okay, so those are the messages that run through our mind. But once you understand the two-part brain, I think that everything will be so much more clear. I know that it was for me. So we're going to compare the two parts of your brain. Part one that we're going to talk about is it, the lizard brain. It's the lower brain. It's the primal brain. It's back in your amygdala. Compared to your higher human brain, the I, the real you, the prefrontal cortex. So the lizard brain, its only job is survival, and it does that really well. This is the part of your brain that, as a cave person, when you ran across a bushel of berries, this part of your brain said, eat it all. Eat till you're sick. You don't know when you're going to have more food. If you found some food, eat as much as physically possible. This is the part of your brain that really keeps you going through the famine. It's the survival part, right? It's the eat as much as you can, store as much fat as you can, because when there's no more food, you're going to last a really long time, okay? The answer is always eat. This part of your brain, whatever you ask it, the answer will always be eat. Have you ever been really happy and wanted to eat, or really sad and wanted to eat? That's because the answer is always going to be eat from this part of your brain. So the lizard brain also cannot be reasoned with. So it doesn't work that way. So convincing it or telling it how important your goals are, it can't be reasoned with. That's not something that it does. But what's really empowering is this part of your brain cannot move. It can't walk. It can't open the fridge. It can't take anything out of a wrapper. Movement is not part of this section of your brain. And it also is not the verbal section of your brain. So it can't talk, which makes it a little tricky because anytime that your lizard brain communicates with you, guess whose voice it has to use? Yours. So all of these messages end up sounding just like you. And I can understand why in the past you've believed that those are the things that you think and are telling yourself. So let's compare that to the real you, right? The higher human brain, the prefrontal cortex. This is your morals and your reason. This is the part of you that knows you want to be healthy, that has goals that you're working towards, that knows why it's so important to you to live a good life. This is the things that you really want, the real you. This is the part of you that by comparison makes you feel so crazy when you know you want to be healthy, but you see yourself eating this junk out of control. It makes you feel so crazy because this part of you knows what you really want. But what's amazing is this part of your brain has the power of decision. Catherine calls it free won't. This part of you moves and talks. You will never go to the fridge. You will never eat anything or do anything if it isn't passed through and okay with the real you, this part of your brain. So why do these things get muddy? Why don't we just live out of the true us? Well, let's talk about it. These parts of your brains live in different places. So your prefrontal cortex is the you, it's the up here, right? The amygdala is like right back here. It's that primal part of your brain, okay? So you can kind of visualize where these things are. Let me tell you what a typical day was like for me when I didn't understand the two parts of my brain. So I would eat a meal. I would feel full. And the higher part of my brain knew that I was done, knew that I was full. But then I would feel this compulsion, like to eat more, get seconds, have more. Well, it's here, right? The answer is always eat, you know? So I would feel this, feeling that I want more, even though I knew that I was full. And so I would try to just stamp that out. I would just, no, you cannot do this. Do not go down that path. Like you don't want to, like remember what you want. And it really fired up my lizard brain, right? Because when we tell ourselves no, it drives up our cravings. It turns on those deprivation sirens that actually tell you, no, you've got to have it. Because if your lizard brain thinks you're not going to have it, then it's got to turn up everything even more so that you do get it, right? It's all about survival. And then what would happen, kind of the bridge for me was I didn't know that I wouldn't. I would get really afraid because I would have this feeling like I don't know that I'm not going to do that. I felt so out of control. And Nick Fry told me about another term called cognitive fusion. And this is really important. Cognitive fusion is when the real you and your lizard brain fuses together. When you don't know that the lizard brain isn't you. And you start listening to your thoughts, all your thoughts, no matter where they come from, and you believe them. And you think that it's you talking to you. You think that it's you that wants the entire plate of brownies and then whatever else is in the pantry. And you let those thoughts take over, and then you give it permission to actually do it, right? Because your brain is fused together. So your lizard brain is saying, walk to the pantry, and you are actually walking to the pantry because you don't know that it's two separate things. So then I would try to reason with the lizard brain, right? I would try to talk it out of it like, well, I have these goals and I really care about my health. And I would try to find, what's wrong? Like, am I stressed? Am I tired? I would try to find all these ways that I felt out of control. But remember, it wasn't me. And I was trying to reason with a part of my brain that couldn't be reasoned with. And then I would feel like a total failure because I didn't understand those two parts of my brain. I just knew that I knew what I wanted and I did things that did not support that. And that would make me feel like such a failure. And then there was all this pressure. Oh my gosh, I can't believe how I ate today. Well, I've got to fix it. I've got to do something about it. Okay, starting tomorrow, I've got to make some changes. So what would that do? It would fire up that lizard brain again. Well, I've got to eat everything tonight because I've really got to start tomorrow. All right. So without understanding the two-part brain, that's what a typical day would look like. Now let me tell you what a new day can look like for you and for me. We eat. We feel full. And you recognize that that's you telling you that you feel full, you're satisfied, you've met your physical needs, you enjoyed that meal. That's you. And then you'll probably feel compelled to eat more. And when I say you, I mean it. You will recognize the lizard brain. You'll say, oh, the lizard is telling me that even though I'm full, I should eat more. But you'll call it out. You'll name it. You'll say, that's what it is telling me. Then take a deep breath and calm those survival triggers. I can eat anything I want. I can do anything I want. And you know what? When you do what you want, the real you, you're going to take care of yourself. You're going to be healthy because it is what you want. So you really can do whatever you want. That is always the case. And you can calm down those survival panic buttons that get pushed. And then start listening, start observing, start listening for it. And you'll see those thoughts and you'll observe that, oh, it's telling me to do this. It's telling me to do that. Oh, how interesting. Isn't that interesting? Because it's not you, it's it, right? And then know that all the control is with the real you, that higher brain. That's the one where all of your decisions and everything that you do is based out of. And then move on with your life. Something really neat happens when you observe those it thoughts, you recognize them, and then you just go on with what you want to do. It goes to sleep. If you just move on and recognize that, those voices that used to get louder will just get calmer and just go to sleep. And then you can just live your life and work on you and personal development and learn how to deal with stress and learn how to be a better person. But because you want to do that, not as a prescription to try to fix your crazy brain, because your brain is just doing what it's supposed to do. You're just recognizing those voices now. And then you can just experience emotions without fear. Since I've understood this, I've been really, really stressed. I've been really, really sad. I've been really, really happy. But none of those things are dangerous anymore. And yeah, it will go crazy and it'll tell me all sorts of things, but I recognize it for what it is now. So making peace with your life and making peace with food. I'm going to give you a couple of examples of how you might want to think of it. So I have a really cute daughter. She's 4. That's a picture of her. And she came to me one day just falling apart, like in tears. She just threw herself down on my lap. I was like, honey, what's wrong? What's going on? She was so sad because she couldn't be a pony. You guys, she really wanted to be a pony. That's what she wanted. She didn't want to be a little girl. She wasn't happy as a girl. She wanted to be a pony. And you know what? I care about her and I listened to her, but I also knew better. I knew that she's going to be okay, that she's not going to be a pony, and that we're not going to make her a pony. There's nothing we can do about it. So I listened to her and I comforted her, but I didn't get wrapped up. I didn't cry with her. I didn't get attached to it. I didn't panic because, well, I've got to get this girl made into a pony. No, I just observed what she was saying, but I knew better. And you might want to think of the lizard brain like this. Your lizard brain is going to be upset. It's going to tell you all sorts of things. But if you know better, you don't have to buy into it, The other way that is a good example of thinking of this is just observing your thoughts like a river going by. So being sucked into the river is a lot different than just watching the river. So you can sit in a place of power and just watch your thoughts go by, listen to what it is saying to you and just observe, like, oh, isn't that interesting? And, from the shore, you're totally safe. But if you have that cognitive fusion happen, if you start believing your thoughts and that they're all yours and not the lizard brain, it's like getting sucked into the river. The river is the same. And it might just seem so crazy, like, how are these people okay? Not, just standing up and being fine. I'm just trying to keep my head above water here. but it's because you've gotten sucked into the river. It's because the momentum, you've made it part of you. So that's what it's like with that cognitive fusion, buying into what your lizard brain is saying. It feels like getting sucked into the river. So just step out of the river and observe. It's the same river, but it's going to feel really different. So Catherine Hansen gives us 5 steps of, now that we know what we know, what can we do? So the first step, she viewed her urges to binge, or whatever that is for you, as neurological junk from her lower brain. So recognize the lizard brain, call it out. My husband and I will stand around in the kitchen and say, oh, it's telling me to do whatever that is, all right? So recognize that your brain is doing what it's supposed to, but it's just neurological junk, all right? Step number 2, she separated herself, her highest human brain, from her urges. So realize that's, oh, those thoughts aren't me, right? We're separating the I from the it. Step number 3, she stopped reacting to her urges, all right? So once you know that, you don't have to act on it because you didn't get sucked into the river, right? You're just observing. You don't have to jump in. Step number 4, she stopped acting on her urges. And this is where your brain really starts changing, because the things that you've always done, the reactions that you've always given into are going to change. And then your brain starts changing and then getting excited. So that's an important part, the emotion, the excitement of, wow, I always used to react that way, but you know what? I am so empowered now and I didn't react this way, and my brain is changing and my life is changing and I'm getting more of what I want, and I'm going to celebrate and I'm going to tell my coach about it. You know, all of these things are going to really help in this process. So that's the 2-part brain. Understanding that you don't have to buy into all your thoughts and realizing where those thoughts come from is going to make a big difference. I really know that it has for me. And since I've understood this, things have really changed in my life. And my binge eating is not something that I suffer from anymore, because I can take those steps and recognize that those thoughts aren't me. And I'm excited for you to have the same process happen for you.